Whoa, 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 whoa. You go back to 2017, Trump was already underwater at minus 5 points on the net approval rating. That's approval minus disapproval. What a difference 8 years makes. He's on the positive side of the ledger at plus 4 points. And again, it's not just the CBS News poll. We're talking about the Gallup poll. We're talking about the Ipsos poll. We are talking about the Pew poll. All of these respective pollsters have Trump in a better position now than they did 8 years ago. The bottom line is Americans are far more likely to say they like what they're seeing now versus what they felt during Trump's first term.
I think he's trying to get America back on track as quickly as possible, given the state that it was left in from the previous administration.
It feels more merit and transparency.
Guys, everybody loves Teflon Don. Even the radical left Democrats love him. CNN has this focus group where fish face Dana Trash, the person who would give Abby Phillip a run for her money in terms of being the most boring news anchor on all the television, she is completely stunned by the fact that Democrats are now supporting Trump more, even more so than before the election. There's a lot of footage here, so I'm not going to delay any further. Let's get into it.
How are the voters who swung the election for President Trump feeling about his first few weeks in office? Our friends at Engages talked to some Arizona voters who switched from voting for Joe Biden in 2020 to Trump in 2024, and so far, they mostly like what they see.
I just think he's trying to get America back on track as quickly as possible, given the state that it was left in from the previous administration.
It feels more merit and transparency that I'm getting from the administration so far.
I approve of a lot of the stuff that he's doing with the border and everything.
He's put other countries on notice that were to be taken seriously.
For the most part, I feel like he's on the right track by keeping transgenders out of women's sports. That's number one.
Facts.
All 11 Biden-Trump voters say they approve of Donald Trump's first weeks in office.
Boom.
Our panel is back now.
Cooked.
What do you make of that, Dave Weigel? I know that you spent a lot of time before the election talking to voters who were perhaps on the cusp of this.
Yes, and even before the election, you could tell things that outraged every Democrat weren't necessarily outraging most voters. This is also the normal time frame for a presidential honeymoon. If we were having this conversation 4 years ago, I was talking to Republicans who were worried that Joe Biden wasn't very visible. He was older, but what was the thing that was going to make him unpopular? Because he seemed to be at a baseline, and then they found it, which was Afghanistan. It was the fact that he was literally like 5.5 feet in the grave. Afghanistan was horrible too. And Joe Biden did end up being the worst president in United States history. However, there are so many things. It's like, where the hell do we even begin? Confidence that these voters have, and these were people that the Harris campaign could tell were not gettable by October. This is what a lot of these plays are being run on. If you polling on how much of people think foreign aid is a part of the federal budget, overstates it usually by factor of 30. And the fights they've taken with the highest profile, this is when I talk about what Democrats are trying to focus on, what they think the media might catch on to, what voters might catch on to. They are worried about the foreign aid component. If it looks like they're complaining about money going elsewhere, or getting into the gender and sports stuff, it looks like Democrats are too concerned with one of those issues. Their default is, well, Trump is acting because these guys were too weak to do what I believed in the first place.
Well, I mean, the Democrats were busy trying to get you to purchase something that you didn't even ask for. So you had your demand, the Republicans had the supply. The Democrats tried to convince you that what you were demanding was wrong and that what the Republicans were offering to supply, they were lying about. It just so turns out that the Democrats were fraudulent about everything the whole time. You know what you wanted, and what the Republicans, or at least Donald Trump, was offering were exactly what we were demanding.
What we are seeing right now is what Donald Trump campaigned on.
Right.
We've said that umpteen times now in the past 4
Dana Trash telling the truth?
weeks. What he didn't campaign on
Here we go.
was the Elon Musk of it all.
No, he did say that he was going to be working with Elon Musk. I believe he talked about Doge before he got elected. I'd have to, fact check that, but I believe he did mention that, and Elon Musk was always right there with him. So it does not surprise me at all that Elon Musk is a big part of this administration. I haven't heard any conservatives complaining about this. So where is this coming from? Let's keep
Elon Musk would be going in, and the person with his team doing this and doing this at the pace with which they are moving. I want you to listen to what Jonas G., he is one of those Biden to Trump voters, said about that. Doesn't seem that concerned.
He's moving fast to dismantle the corruption, which there's so much of it. Everywhere he turns, there's stuff that they have to take out. Went to one agency, and what, 80%, 90% of that agency's been spending stuff that nobody would approve of.
I want you to talk about that, Isaac, but then just that last part, 80 to 90% of the agency spending stuff nobody would approve of. We don't know that because there's no accountability. Maybe at the end of the day.
What do you mean we don't know that? Doge publishes stuff constantly all day. If you have an X account, they publish all day, and you could go to doge.gov. If y'all are watching this, okay, of course, finish watching the video, but go to doge.gov if you're curious, and it's fully populated. They show you exactly what they're spending money on. A lot of it's a bunch of transgender drag nonsense, a bunch of election-based stuff for other countries, a bunch of stupid shows and education in other nations that have nothing to do with America. And then half the time, those nations report not even having received the money. So where the hell did it go? Probably somewhere in Nancy Pelosi's pocket. Let's keep going.
Once we can actually look at it, perhaps that's going to be right. But we have no idea, which also speaks to the fact that there is such a fractured media consumption environment that is getting even more so. We don't know. I mean, Jonas G. is listening to, they said at the beginning, some mainstream media, but who knows where this information is coming from?
Yeah, and that's part of the problem that we're dealing with the current information ecosystem going on. But the problem that those who are fighting back against these cuts, including Democrats, have is that I would say many people, maybe an overwhelming majority of people around this country, have some sense that government is at least a little bit bloated, that there's extra.
A little? That is a massive understatement. I mean, we're sending billions of dollars with a B. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't cut down on trillions. I think Elon Musk said he was trying to cut up to $2 trillion. And I'd be willing to bet that he could probably do better than that. So when you look at how things are going so far, it's been hundreds of billions of dollars that have been detected have been fraudulent. So it's only going to get worse because Elon Musk hadn't even dug his freaking heels. He hasn't put his grubby little hands into all of the federal government agencies yet. But when he does, oh, it's about to get ugly. Somebody's going to prison.
Spending, things that can be cut. There are all sorts of stories that come up all across the spectrum. And what they are, what happened here is that Elon Musk moved quickly. Mm-hmm. And so you're asking voters to say the thing that you think should be dealt with as a problem is being dealt with quickly. The question, again, as we were saying earlier, is how these cuts are being made, who's making them, and what the actual effect of them will be. But look, for Democrats, this is really hard because they're also, in addition to the stuff that Dave was talking about, they're struggling with the fact that they're saying constitutional crisis. You asked Amy Klobuchar, constitutional crisis. There is a constitutional issue of the executive taking power, right? But that seems like in the weeds.
Well, except, it does, except you brought me to my next voter, which thank you very much for that. Courtney L. Was asked about the question of whether or not it's okay for this guy she voted for to defy the courts.
I'm very torn on this because at the end of the day, I agree we need the Constitution and we need rules and procedures. But at the same time, how are we going to make big changes if someone like Trump, being unconventional, we need him to be doing these things, to be making these executive orders and making these big changes for big changes to happen. So I'm very torn on the issue.
So I don't necessarily agree with just straight up defying the court. That's just a Democrat talking point. Nobody's out here just defying the court. What's happening is you are working within the confines of the courts. You're effectively manipulating and kind of working around everything and using technicalities, which is legal to do. If it's illegal, then it's not going to be allowed, obviously. If it's legal, it's like they're mad that you were smart enough to concoct a plan to outsmart their weaponization of the justice system and the legal system. It's nobody's fault if y'all are too stupid to deal with Donald Trump. You have to be able to keep up. If you're too slow, then go ahead and sit your dumb ass down.
Well, I mean, and this is what is, driving the Trump administration right now. They are hearing these voters who are like, move fast, and
Boom.
the whole tech sector thing, move fast, break things. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that when you break things, eventually, you'll step on some glass or something like that. Like the thing that they're doing right now, and
the big government breaks stuff all the time. A lot of the time, the problems that we have, they create to begin with. So who the hell cares? Like, just keep moving.
I agree that there is this lag, right? Like, you don't know what's going to impact people. You can drive 100 miles per hour on the highway, and you can do that many times and get there faster. But eventually, there may be a wreck, right? Like, and that is what we're dealing with. Like, is there going to be a wreck? I'm not a psychic, but there could be a wreck.
How are you going to look? Okay, Afghanistan withdrawal, open border, massive inflation, wars all over the place. I mean, guys, and this is with a government that was moving hella slow. Joe Biden he was slow walking us toward absolute and complete destruction. It was like death by 1,000 cuts. Okay, if we're going to get taken out, I'd at least rather get hit by a freaking nuke than just be cut a freaking million times until I bleed out.
I want to just play one more because it speaks to what you were mentioning earlier about flooding the zone, seeing the president all the time, every day, multiple times a day, which could not be more different from Joe Biden. And the question is whether that's what these voters wanted.
Rare moments of Dana Trask.
He said he was going to do this, and this is what he's starting to get done.
And he only has 4 years to do it. It's not like he can run again.
He got less than that, bro. Like, if the Senate and House flip, oh man, the Democrats is gonna be nasty with it. That's why he's working so he can get this done in the next. He's probably thinking somebody still might be trying to kill him or something. He's probably trying to think, move like tomorrow is my last freaking day. And I don't blame him at this point. After he got shot in that ear, I think that's what it was. If he didn't get shot in that damn ear, bro, he might be moving a little slower, but tomorrow is never promised.
He did his first term, so some of these things you can't fix overnight. So he has to get started early on. He has 4 years, and he made promises in his campaign. He won because of those promises, so he's getting to work.
Yeah, and I was also struck.
Wait, why? Hold on a second. Why she look like that? Hold on, look at her face. It's like they only caught her for a second. Rare moment of Dana Trask showing a little bit of emotion, except for when she yelled at JD Vance that one time. But why she look like that? Like, she seemed like she's like in total shock or something. Why is everything so shocking to people who have a whole network where they talk to people and they get feedback from people, from politicians, from everybody all the time? I don't get why these people are so dumbfounded by everything all the time.
And I was also struck in other clips, and I've heard this as voters, of the term transparency to describe Donald Trump and Elon Musk going on camera and talking. Somebody might be looking at their statements and say, but what he just said wasn't true. We've fact-checked it. He's counter something that his own administration said an hour earlier. Doesn't matter if the president's saying it, it sounds transparent. The other word I'm not hearing is Congress. And there is this assumption, these focus groups, the Congress that you're not hearing from isn't able to act. I heard Democrats on the top of the constitutional crisis say, come to Congress, pass a bill. And that just seems so yesterday for the voters that we're hearing about that assume, assume Congress won't act. Two, listen to Mike Johnson and they can tell they're supine and they don't want to act.
I have a story up on our site.
I mean, well, the Democrats already said that they were going to obstruct everything. Joe Biden in the past said he was going to undo everything Donald Trump did. Effectively, they've become the anti-Trump party. They're not even Democrats anymore. They're the TDS party at this point.
Yesterday about what Democrats are doing, and I asked Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic leader in the House, in reporting it last week, I said, what do you say to Democrats who have given up hope?
Yeah.
And he said, keep hope alive. Listen, the courts are ruling against him. His polls are going down, not up, and he's going to have to deal with Congress.
That's also false. Literally nothing that they said is true. Donald Trump's approval numbers are high. The courts have a ruling in his favor. And I forget the last thing I don't think he said nothing important. I'm going to keep going.
The courts have started to rule against him in some ways, but also some toward him.
Boom.
His polls are not going down. Right?
Facts. Okay, tell the truth.
That is the thing that all the Trump opponents have to run up against. It may change when they get to this budget showdown next month. But for the moment, that because of the honeymoon, because of all these other things, there is not the kind of resistance to Trump and what he's doing that a lot of Democrats were hoping there would be.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think I had another video that I had earlier where, because they were talking about the Trump honeymoon, it's like, no, they already showed that the same time that Trump was elected the first time, his approval rating was much lower compared to now. So the honeymoon, shmoneymoon, like, people love Teflon Don because he's a freaking beast and is doing exactly what he said. He wasn't waiting months. He wasn't waiting years. He like, let's do it right now.
That's one of the, you're very prolific. That's one of the stories you have on CNN.com. Up next, we're
rare moments of transparency from Fish Face over here, Dana Trash. But Face, the music guys, like, you failed. If considering everything that Trump went through and everything that they were throwing at him, he still managed to beat their ass with all 7 of the swing states. Man, is a massive backfire. Imagine if they did less and they were just so like not against them as much and were more fair. Trump could have possibly lost because it wouldn't have felt like so adversarial. It wouldn't have felt like freaking David and freaking Goliath, but these people made it almost feel like it was good versus evil because of how much they lied because of their desperation to get him and prosecuting them, and some people out here trying to kill him. It was so crazy, and they still out here calling them Hitler and Nazi and stuff. And even on fake news CNN, I post videos basically every day with them trying to lie and concoct stories and make stuff up. They're trying to act like free speech is a bad thing. Like, these people, they're just stupid. They're dumb. They're propaganda machines. And again, I don't know exactly the reason why. There's so many things to speculate on, but it's obviously not working in their favor. It's actually harming them more and more and more every single day. And that's exactly why I make these videos. So I hope it hurts. It's something that they always could change. They can just change at any time. But as long as they don't, then I'm going to keep on bringing on this pain every damn day and make sure I expose these clowns, because it's one of my favorite tasks to do. And it is my duty to help wake people up to the nonsense and the freaking gruel, this trash that they're being fed from these fake / legacy news networks. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
I have high approval ratings because I'm using common sense.